Todd Pinkney, one of our P1s who came to our Seattle Kraken expansion draft watch party the other night, asks if Monty the Squirrel's going to use the lawnmower 4.0 to trim his nuts. I was thinking more, how about that? But
how about that?
It's not an unreasonable question.
No, it is not.
Monty the Squirrel. Can we get that done up by the end of the show? And I'm in favor of your mom sewing the costume this time.
You are?
Yes.
Are you watching?
Paula?
She's probably watching.
What's going on back here? They're all laughing back there. Oh, I'd wonder. Oh.
Because then you paused. And I was like, this in favor of her? What?
I know. I heard them bust out laughing. I'm like, what are you?
And then you sewing the costume, and it's like, just disarmed me. I'm like, okay, we're good. She can sew the costume.
I'm in favor of your mom.
What? Say it. Say it.
Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. So the coach slapped her. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Yeah, I'm anything but a tough guy. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show, or for this week, it's the Darren DuPont Show. Good morning, good afternoon. Here out in the East, it's just hit 12 o'clock noon, but welcome to a brand new week of the show. Excuse me while I get settled, too, for a bit. This is going to, again, more and more often, I think we're encouraging Rod to take a vacation. No, he's earned it. So Rod's going to enjoy some time. I think he's headed to Banff for a couple of days. He's going to tour around Canada and enjoy some of this beautiful summer weather we get across the country. So settle in, relax. I'm here all week, and we're going to have a lot of fun because there's lots to get to this week. It's an interesting time in sports, especially when you think of the CFL, which is really heating up. Lots of that coming up this week on the show. Probably going to start transitioning a bit more into hockey this week. So there's going to be a lot of fun things this week. But welcome to the program. It's going to be a great one. At 902-518-3033 is the number to text the program. Send in your questions, comments. I've got a couple of questions that came in late on Friday. I was just checking in on the text line. We're going to answer those because they pertain to the Canadian Football League, and they're still pretty topical. And we'll say good morning to those of you watching on YouTube as well. We say good morning or afternoon to Carlos. I think he's in Indianapolis. Bomber Boys watching says happy Monday. And also says the CFL's West Division just got a whole lot tighter. Yes, it absolutely did. So good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to the show. How was your weekend? It was a great weekend. There's lots to recap. Monday's always really interesting. For me, it was a weekend away, a weekend across the border in the U.S., in Detroit. First time going to Detroit. Well, I've been to the airport. Had a couple of I think I've had one or two layovers in Detroit. That's it. But first time in the city, and to be honest, I was pretty impressed. Got in, spent about 25 hours in Detroit total. So not a long time, but definitely a good time. Had tickets. It was a Christmas present for the Sun Goes Down tour. Kenny Chesney, and check with this lineup. It was Kenny Chesney, Zach Brown Band, Megan Maroney, and Uncle Kracker at Ford Field in Detroit. Awesome show. Really was. Not familiar with a lot of Uncle Kracker's new songs, but he still sounds the same as we remember growing up, right? And Megan Moroney, up and coming young female superstar, she was fantastic. But the show was co-headlined by Zach Brown and Kenny. And let me tell you, they were both completely different and completely awesome for this, completely different reasons, but both completely awesome. Zach Brown was first and Kenny was the headliner, obviously. And I'd never been to either. Okay. First time going to see Kenny, first time seeing Zach Brown band. Leanne had seen Zach Brown, and she's a huge fan. And so she was more looking forward to that. I was more looking forward to Kenny. I probably come away from the concert being more impressed by Zach Brown band than I was by Kenny Chesney. Not that I was not impressed, but I was definitely impressed by Zach Brown band. I mean, you want to talk about powerful, emotional. I don't think he was out of key for one single note. It was really great, like really special. From the beginning to the end, just sang beautifully. It was powerful. Cool moment, and one of those welcome to the USA moments. Brought a soldier out on stage just before singing Chicken Fried, the first Zach Brown song from 15 years ago.
I like it.
I think brought a soldier out on stage, and I mean, I think the lid was going to come off Ford Field, and then you get the USA, USA, USA chant, right? I mean, I had chills, and everybody was holding up their drinks, saluting. It was a really cool moment. Then Kenny comes on, and Kenny, I think, is 56. Somebody fact check this for me. Kenny Chesney, I think he's 56 or 57 years old. He was running around like he was 19. Like he's in a tank, jeans, cowboy boots, got the cowboy hat on. And I mean, he was sprinting from one side of the stage, sprinting back to the other. He was blowing kisses to the crowd. He's doing his whole thing. And he was so out of breath that he didn't sing as well as Zach Brown did, right? So the sound wasn't as good. But that's not what Kenny does, right? Kenny's not known for the powerful vocals or these, big moments like that. But I mean, everybody in the crowd, 43,000 people, were all singing every single song loud. And then he brought Uncle Kracker back on stage, which was really cool because, of course, they sang the song, right? When the sun goes down. And then they sang Doobie Brothers, Drift Away, which is another Uncle Kracker cover that he did. That was cool. They did that together. So they sang a few songs. It was good. Great night. And Detroit was awesome. So a couple things. Detroit style pizza. I had to get a pizza before the show. And that's awesome. Not super famous, but if you know Detroit style pizza, it's the corner slices, the crispy cheese, the little bit thicker crust. Awesome. And then the city. First time in Detroit. So a couple things. I didn't go down to 8 Mile or wherever that is. Kind of totally forgot about that. But, Detroit, you get the history, the culture, the architecture of downtown. Definitely the music vibes, Motown from the 60s, kind of huge in Detroit. So you see a lot of those music clubs, the theaters, that type of thing. It's small. It feels small anyways. It's only about 600 and some odd thousand people. Which is a decent sized city, but small enough that it feels more small townish, not like a big city. And downtown is cool because you get all the stadiums right there. You got Ford Field, which doesn't jump out at you. All of a sudden, we're walking from the hotel which is right on the water, walking right to the downtown, and bang, there's Ford Field. Right next door to Comerica Park, which, if you've never been, it feels like it's, a WCBL ballpark. Kind of. They got a cool entrance with a couple of tigers, Comerica Park, and it just doesn't, you can see right into the stadium. Like completely different than Rogers Center in Toronto, where it's the huge stadium and it's the big screen and the whole deal. This was completely different, but felt really cool, very charming. And then Little Caesars Arena just down the street, which I didn't see right away. And that was on my bucket list on Saturday. Not really a bucket list. We didn't go in the arena, but you go to these towns. Hockey guy, you got to drive by the hockey rink, right? So we went to the hockey rink. We checked out Little Caesars Arena, which got us a little bit of a bigger tour of Detroit, which was cool. Made the traditional stops to the grocery store, to Target, picked up the U.S. essentials. Can't really bring much back when you're only going for 24 hours. But got some coffee. Picked up just a couple of little odds and ends, and some snacks. Couple new snack things. They don't have the M&M pretzels anymore, which was the one thing I always went to the U.S.
Oh,
for.
no.
That was a problem. But if you've ever had Dots pretzels, I think they're a North Dakota product. I'm not sure, but Dots pretzels,
Hell
they're like
yes.
buttery, not super salty. Got like 3 bags of those, brought those back. And I think that was pretty much it. Oh, and I've become an iced coffee guy. Well, kind of a protein coffee guy. And this place, we took 2 different ways into Detroit. So coming from Toronto down to Detroit, we went in on a little bit north around the water and crossed at a place into New Baltimore, and Big B Coffee saved the cup, and love it. Pretty good. And then when we came back, we came through the Windsor-Detroit tunnel, which was also cool. But I understand why we didn't go into Detroit that way. It was backed up, like really backed up. And I can't imagine what it would have been like before the concert on Saturday. So that was the weekend. Write in, let me know, what's your favorite live concert you've ever been to? Your favorite live concert. I'd love to hear and find out. And also, as a sidebar, what's the one thing that you got to buy when you go to the U.S.? What's the one thing? What's the grocery store item? What do you go looking for? Is it cheap booze? Is it certain U.S. snacks? Speaking of that, sidebar, and we'll get to some sports here in a minute, but the liquor section at the grocery store is a Meijer grocery store, and they have all these different things, right? I mean, novelty stuff everywhere, obviously. But how about this? The vodka seltzers or the, vodka soda drinks that are coming on and they're really popular. I saw Sunny D vodka sodas. You remember Sunny Delight?
Damn.
Sunny D? Yeah. Never bought it. Haven't tried it, but kind of curious about it, all at the same time. So what's the one item you got to go for in the U.S. When you travel across the border? Or if you're watching the U.S., if you come to Canada, if you're into the ketchup chips or the Smarties, that type of thing, let me know. But also, what's the number one live concert you've ever been to? For me, this one might be up there as top concert. Kenny, Zach, they were both great for different reasons. Kenny was more fun. The crowd was more into it. Clark, I think we had a couple of photos. I forgot to call for the photos, but feel free to throw those up anytime. So I think this was Kenny, right? Cowboy hat. I can't see the monitor really that well, but we had great seats. We weren't on the floor. We wanted to be back a little bit up, but we were in the lower bowl, just a few rows up, 100 level. I stood up and snapped a photo. Great sound from back there. And Kenny was rolling. I mean, they sang American Kids, and the crowd sang so many of his songs. The encore was unreal. It was a really, really cool night. And I think and Zach Brown was just before that. There's Zach Brown. Again, powerful. The sound from Zach Brown, in terms of just how great he sounds, I don't think I've heard anything like that in a live concert. I really haven't. Kenny, I mean, you're going to get a better sound listening on Spotify and in your car, to listen to the song. But in terms of environment and singing along and just a party, Kenny was great. But Zach, I'd rather listen to him at a concert. It is more powerful than listening to him on a Spotify or streaming. So there's that. Okay, we've killed almost the first segment talking about the weekend, which is great. Tell me about your weekend, because we got a great show and we got 2 hours to get to all of this stuff. Big win by the Edmonton Elks last night. Big win by Canada at the Hlinka Gretzky. But before we get to that, I want to wrap the Olympics. Okay, I want to put a bow on the Olympics. I never got to watch the closing ceremony live. That was Sunday. We were driving back from Detroit, but got to watch a lot of it online and in replay form. And as great as you would expect, an historic Olympics for the Canadians. More medals, more golds. I think it was 9 gold, 27 medals overall in Paris. That is the most ever by Canada at a non-boycotted Summer Olympics in history. So bravo to Canada on a wonderful Olympics. So many great moments, and we'll get to these as we go through the show. We haven't talked a lot of Olympics on this show, but we're going to spend a minute on it today because it's worth it. It really is. 9 gold medals. Listen to this. And they all deserve it. All the medalists deserve some attention. But how about the golds? Summer McIntosh, 3 of them in the 200-meter butterfly, the 200-meter individual medley, and the 400-meter individual medley. Maybe for me, the best moment of the Olympics was the men's 4x100-meter relay. Andre DeGrasse, Aaron Brown, Jerome Blake, and Brennan Rodney winning gold, and so unexpected. I think that's what made it so great, especially when Canada failed to qualify for the finals in both the 100 and 200 meters. Ethan Katzberg, he was a flag bearer with Summer McIntosh in the closing ceremonies. Men's hammer throw. Cameron Rogers, the women's hammer throw gold medal right after. I mean, Canada hadn't won gold in the hammer throw in 120 years. And then Ethan wins it, and he almost sets an Olympic record. He no doubt will at some point in his career. He's so young, and they say he hasn't even come close to reaching his prime. Can't imagine what that looks like, but that's cool. Phil Kim, the wizard in men's breaking. How cool was that?
How about that?
Katie Vincent in the women's canoe sprint 200-meter single, and Krista Deguchi in the women's judo, winning a gold medal. So bravo to the Olympic gold medalists for Canada. All 27 medalists, all athletes. Wonderful Olympic Games. It really was. But, you know, what were some of your best moments from Paris 2024? Didn't start great. It feels like a year ago, but it didn't start great with the controversy around the soccer team and DroneGate, the spying, Bev Priestman dipping out. She ends up leaving. The team ends up going on a run, miraculously getting in out of the group stage. Wasn't to be, losing in penalties to Germany in that one. I really thought, you know, that men's 400 4x1 was my favorite moment. Andre DeGrasse, his 7th medal, ties Penny Alexiak for the most decorated Canadian Olympian of all time. One of my favorite stories that came late was Melissa Humana Paredes and Brandy Wilkerson in women's beach volleyball. They made it to the gold medal game, and they're Canada's best beach volleyball team ever, winning a silver and almost getting that gold. That was cool. We were in front of the TVs on the edge of our seats. Ilya Haroun in the pool. Kylie Massey becoming the first Canadian swimmer to win an individual medal in 3 Olympics. And a tennis plug, Felix Auger-Aliassime and Gabri Dabrowski winning bronze, Canada's first ever Olympic medal in that event. And Felix finishing 4th. He just lost the bronze medal, Mac. So a lot of fun, a lot more moments than that. Let me know what you think were your favorite moments of the Olympics, and I'd love to get to them. Look, we're going to talk more Olympics on the other side. Daniella Ponticelli is coming. She was part of the CBC Olympic broadcast team. She was broadcasting 3x3 basketball and Canada's great tournament. We're going to talk to her next. Paul LaPolice coming up from the CFL on TSN in hour 2. So plenty of CFL talk coming, plenty of Olympic wrap coming, more from the weekend. We've got NFL notes, including a look at those rookie quarterbacks. We're going to try and digest the whole weekend into 2 hours. So lock in. Get your comments in. Olympic questions for Daniella next. 902-518-3033. And we'll get to our poll question as well. It's CFL related. So weigh in now. Busy Monday here on the program. It's the Rod Pedersen Show here on a Monday. You are watching across the Game Plus television network, streaming on YouTube Live, or on the podcast on Apple and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information. That's emjmarketing.com. As we welcome you back into the program. Question today, after spending the weekend in Detroit and checking out Kenny Chesney and Zach Brown Band, we're asking you what your favorite live concert you've ever been to, and you guys are answering the call. Love it. Captain Lou says Huey Lewis in the News, 1984, Marquette, Michigan. That is taking it back. It really is. But I bet it was good. Rich writes in, says Rolling Stones in Vancouver a few weeks ago. Those old dudes still got it. Just a few weeks ago. That would be awesome. How about John Ohm? John Cougar Mellencamp, best concert ever. What else do we got? John writes in, a different John. John Burns says Tina Turner. Intro was Lindsey Buckingham. First live concert. You know what? The first live concerts are pretty good. I think my first live concert was a Sum 41 concert. And now they're coming back, actually, to Scotiabank Arena here in Toronto. May check it out. Patrolman Pete. George Strait at Canada Life Center was one of his all-time faves. Yeah, George Strait would be great. I've never seen George Strait in concert at all. But Clark says Sum 41's coming to Saskatoon in January. Yeah, I think that you're going. Okay. That's going to be awesome. Do you know who's opening, Clark? Do you know who's opening? Who's part of the show? Gob. Wow. So I'm trying to think of who it was that. I'm trying to think of who it was opening for Sum 41 back when I went, but it was pretty awesome. John Burns says later I was in the 10th row of a Garth Brooks show at the Saddle Dome. Yes, I went to Garth Brooks this afternoon. It was awesome. Jeremy says Morgan Wallen was fire. Man, there's lots of comments coming in here. So you know what? Write in with your favorite concert. Kenny Chesney, Zach Brown Band, Megan Maroney, Uncle Cracker was awesome on Saturday. Daniella Ponticelli is with us from the CBC's Olympic coverage. Do you got a favorite concert, live concert you've been to?
I've been to so many, thankfully, very blessed there. I gotta say, the country shows are always up there. I think the first time I saw Thomas Rhett, I had zero expectations and then fell in love with him, so he's up there. Good time. But I'm gonna draw some heat for this, but I was quite young at the time and I went to a Nickelback show. And it's still one of my favorites.
Yes.
I remember being so pleasantly surprised. The pyro was great. The energy was great. So, I'm definitely not like a hardcore Nickelback fan, but I don't hate them and they put on a great show. So there you go.
Okay. Well, they did the halftime of the Grey Cup, and I don't remember what year it was, but I just remember watching on TV, and they sound so good live. And that was Zach Brown on the weekend. Sounded like better than I would have imagined, and I would rather listen to him live than on streaming. Where Kenny Chesney was like running around. I was saying he's running around like he's 19, sweating, out of breath. Didn't sound as good, but more entertaining, if that makes sense.
It's incredible.
So
right? Yeah, absolutely. And I guess up there too is like Jack Johnson, because I'm a big fan of his, and went all the way to Wisconsin for this beautiful. Yes, in Apple Creek, I believe it's called, in Wisconsin.
That's on my hit list. Like my bucket list is to see Jack Johnson.
So nice. Yeah, it was amazing. So thanks for letting me relive those memories. I'm glad you had a great time this weekend. The pictures looked amazing. So that was great. Yeah,
really looking forward to it. How about you? Have you had a chance to settle down yet from the Olympic journey?
A little bit. It was kind of funny watching the closing ceremonies yesterday from my couch. I may have had a hard time keeping my eyes open the entire time. It was just it was beautiful. And the music, just at some point, I'm like, okay, I got to stay awake here. But overall, what an incredible experience. And yes, a little bit of downtime. It does feel surreal that the Olympics is over, but a great reminder, of course, that the Paralympics will kickstart in less than 2 weeks. I'm not involved in that, but I do fully plan on watching and supporting the athletes the way that you can when you're just a spectator.
Yeah. So tell me about the Olympic experience. I know you weren't in Paris, but you were at CBC headquarters downtown. And if those, have never been or don't understand what that is, all you need to do is come to Toronto and go walk past it, right? Front Street, right? And it is, I don't know how to describe it. It is historic. It is significant. And it is the headquarters. And, you might as well have been in Paris, because I'm sure everybody was there. We've seen the photos and, tours from inside. It was like a satellite Paris location. So tell us about your Olympic experience calling 3x3 basketball.
Well, just before I jump into that, I want to just continue what you were saying. It really is an incredible, masterful work of logistics to think of everything that's happening at once and making sure that you have teams exactly where they need to be, sometimes pulling people. If Canada only gets to a certain point in one sport, sometimes then you redirect and that commentator's going elsewhere. It's just an incredible hub of activity, and to have just been able to witness that is amazing, right? To be around all those professionals and everybody doing their jobs so diligently for so long. And like I said, it's not over yet. Paralympics still to come as well. As for the 3x3 basketball, I kept saying I feel like I was the luckiest person. It was an incredible assignment because Canada made history. The 4 women who got a chance to compete with the first ever team from Canada. And the way it worked is for Tokyo 2020, a women's team for 3x3, they weren't allowed to qualify. There were some things going on where, because there was a women's 5-on-5 team, they're going to try to get the guys to qualify for the 3x3, and they weren't able to for Tokyo. And then for Paris, it was open, and Paige Crozen, Casey Bosch, the twins from Edmonton, Michelle and Catherine Plouffe, all Western Canadian women, by the way, they got together in 2019 and said, we want to really make a run for this. Part of the reason was that 3x3 basketball, the women's series, if you don't know about this, they can play professionally in the sense that they can win money at these tournaments and go out and compete all around the world. So that was part of the introduction there. And then, of course, the bigger dream of Paris 2024. And I can't say enough about what an incredible sport it is. It's so high energy, fast pace. It's not quite your 3-on-3 pickup game. It is 3x3 because of the unified rules and the sort of demands that it places, because there are very strict rules in place on how things need to be handled. Continuous play, some stoppages. You don't have any coaches on the sidelines. It's just a wild ride. And I think that's the part that I love the most about it, Darren. So thank you for asking, was actually getting to be there from the beginning through to the end. The Canadians made it to medal day, unfortunately unable to get a medal in that. But wow, just how far they came, how far they went. And it really is only the beginning of this discipline.
What was your day like, with the Paris? Because, I mean, we're sitting here and we set the alarms for like 3:45 in the morning so we could get up and watch some early stuff, then go back to bed till 7, picking and choosing what we wanted to watch. So what kind of hours were you operating in?
I was very lucky again. I'm just going to keep using that word because 3x3 is a nighttime event, even when it's structured for the World Tour for the guys and the women's series for the women. It's played at night typically. And so the same thing happened in Paris. Games there started 5:30 p.m. Paris time. That's 11:30 Eastern. That was a nice time to get going. Plenty of it. Exactly. There was just one day where Canada's session started quite early, meaning it was a 2 a.m. wake-up call. But to only have one day like that, I consider myself quite lucky because of the way that 3x3 was structured. That did mean in Paris, and big shout out to Kelly Vanderbeek, who was the reporter on the ground for 3x3. It was ending around 11:30 at night, midnight, right? Like it was long kind of evening sessions, but not for us. Eastern time zone, it worked out quite well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I was wondering how many of those 2 a.m. wake-up calls you were going to have, but just one is good. So how much of the rest of the games did you get to watch? And what stood out to you as your favorite moment?
Great question. I wish I could have watched even more because obviously as soon as you're done your day, you're prepping for the next and making sure you're ready and rested. But I did get to watch Canada win its first medal, which happened to be gold in judo as it was. That was super cool. And to get to watch it in the broadcasting center was great as well. There's just big screens everywhere. You have the commentary on full blast. It was just so cool to kind of share that moment with everyone. That one stays in my mind. A lot of Summer McIntosh, and you could always tell something big was happening because you'd hear people all around the building kind of cheering and making lots of noise for whatever was going on at the time. So that was always fun too. And it was a lot of watching it in pieces. And I'm a big highlight kind of person. I'm watching it on my phone. I'm getting what I can. Really, really happy for all the hammer throwers. And Cameron Rogers might be my new favorite athlete of all time. She's so awesome. So those would be some standout moments. And of course, everything that's been memed was a lot of fun to kind of enjoy in the Olympics.
No kidding. And watching stuff and being in that environment would be pretty cool because you're all there for the same reason. Look, Ken is watching and writes in. He wants to know, how is the adjustment from working an event live, which you were still live, versus using monitors in a studio? And, what was your thought? Because, I mean, us watching at home, we can't tell. We just can't. So great job.
Well, great question, Ken. I mean, it is one of the realities of sports in a lot of facets, and a lot of places are kind of trying different ways of doing things. Obviously, being there is best. It always is, because you get the feel. There's just more to draw from. You're physically there. I will say with the monitor, what keeps you honest is you can only see what you can see, and that's exactly what the viewer sees as well. So it really keeps you kind of in that moment and speaking to what's happening. But overall, I'll say, I think being there is always best. It's just the way things are. And weirdly, you kind of get into it right away and put yourself in that moment. And as Darren mentioned, it was still live. So that part is always great too, knowing that everything you're speaking to is still happening in the moment, keeps you really connected and dialed in. So I will say as well, there were some days in Paris where it was 30 plus degrees and it was so hot. That was still the temperature in Toronto and sometimes in the booth we were working in. So the temperature feel kind of felt like we were there.
I remember you call, you're like, it's so hot in the booth. You know, so in the studio, I get it. I get it.
That's just a me thing too. I just run warm all the time. Like if you catch me at a hockey rink calling a game, I'm usually in like a t-shirt. It just is what it is. So summertime, calling in a booth, the same thing happens.
Yeah. What did the CBC serve you? What was on the spread on the CBC buffet?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, the food, hands down, catering. Thank you for feeding us all so well. It was everything. Like in the morning, if you had a morning shift, which we didn't typically have, so I didn't get too much breakfast, but there would be waffles, there would be eggs and bacon and everything, and there were vegan options, gluten-free, always great meats, some salmon. Anyway, now you're making me hungry. But the point is that we were really well taken care of, and it allows me to give kudos to the amazing workers, right, that keep everybody happy and keep things running smoothly here and in Paris. All the volunteers, that was really cool to see in the closing ceremony too. Just the big thank you to everyone who makes these things possible.
Daniella, awesome stuff. We're out of time, but this is great. Congratulations on the Olympics. You did a great job. It was awesome, and I loved hearing the stories about it.
Thank you so much, Darren. Appreciate it.
All right, Daniella Ponticelli with us, covering the Olympics for the CBC. Great job. The 3x3 basketball in Canada, setting a record. Most medals in a non-boycotted Olympics, most golds, 27 medals, 9 gold medals. Awesome stuff for sure. Hey, lots of comments have jumped in here. We'll get to those in just a few minutes, including John, your comment on the command center and reviews. We're going to shift to football as we kind of close out hour one of this podcast. We're going to put a finishing touch on the Olympics, start to transition into football. And next hour, we're going to dive deep into the CFL because we got to recap the entire weekend. We still haven't talked about Trey Ford, and we haven't even brought up Nathan Rourke or our poll question. We'll do that next. It's the Rod Pedersen Show here on a Monday afternoon / morning, depending on where you reside on this great country. You're watching across the Game Plus television network, streaming on YouTube Live, or you're listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places Workspaces and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Welcome back to the program, the Darren DuPont Show this week. Quick sports update before we continue on. Chad Kelly one step closer to a return to the Toronto Argonauts. The CFL has initiated a review to determine a possible reinstatement for the suspended quarterback. The league announced Saturday it has received Kelly's confidential psychological assessment, a requirement as part of his suspension back on May 7th, and will complete the examination of the results with the help of experts before making a decision. He's serving a suspension of at least 9 games, 9 regular season games for violating the CFL's gender-based violence policy. Toronto 5-4 through 9 games without the league's MVP. Toronto is on a bye week before hosting Saskatchewan on August 22nd. And how about this? The Niagara River Lions, CEBL champions for the first time in franchise history. They knocked off the Vancouver Bandits in a thrilling 97-95 final in Montreal over the weekend. Wonderful stuff there. So sports updates brought to you by EMJ Marketing. You can transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check them out now, emjmarketing.com. And that'll transition us into a quick comment. Tony from George Fox country says, I know most folks aren't basketball fans, but wow, the CEBL and the target score, nail-biting finishes. Also, both men's and women's gold medal games were awesome. Fast-paced 40-minute basketball. The CEBL final was fantastic. Vancouver had a lead. Niagara came back 97-95. It was a 2-point finish with that target score at championship weekend in Montreal. Great stuff, really. And congratulations to Niagara, Mike Morielli, the entire CEBL on a great season and a great championship weekend. I've been watching all the stuff. Heather Morrison's a great friend. She was down there courtside as part of the broadcasts on TSN, doing a fantastic job. And on the Olympic basketball, that was incredible too. Steph Curry. Now, LeBron James was named the MVP of the basketball tournament, but it could have been and maybe should have been Steph Curry. I'm seeing, and I'm sure you are too, the photos of Steph's 3 over Victor Wembanyama, to help seal out a win and a gold medal over France. Part of that story is the disappointment of Canada and the loss they had to France. Did not play their best game. Canada was stacked. Everybody was looking forward to a Canada-USA gold medal game, which everything was pointing towards that. Everything was leading towards that. But it was the hometown team from France. They played phenomenal basketball to get to a gold medal game, and they played great in that gold medal game. And on the women's side, same thing, but it was the U.S. who won their 8th straight gold. They got pushed by the French. They really did. That was exciting stuff. The basketball tournaments were really exciting in the Olympics. Rod is on vacation this week, so we're in this week. I know that's a question some people have had. Where is Rod? But we got lots of time with just you and I. Robert said he liked the 4x100. I mean, that came out of nowhere, and that shocked everybody, and that was fun on this Olympic journey for sure. Snoop Dogg was brought up here. Snoop Dogg was an incredible part of these Olympic Games. We all seen it, right? Snoop and Martha. I think they were doing a bunch of work for NBC. That was cool. I mean, Snoop in the equestrian, I say outfit because I don't know the sport, and that's, on me, but, know exactly what it's called. But he calls them horses that dance, Sometimes he calls it doing the crip walk, the horses and the... Anyways, it's fun. Snoop was there. I don't know if we saw Flava Flav was there. He even did an interview on CBC with, who did he do the interview with? I think it was with Anastasia Busick. And that was pretty cool. Which kind of leads into 2028. And somebody asked if we saw Tom Cruise. Of course we saw Tom Cruise. We're talking about Maverick here. But in this instance, he was Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible. He scaled in from the roof, right? On his own, sailed down, grabbed the Olympic flag, and then, like the badass that he is, hops on a motorcycle and takes the flag out of there onto a cargo plane, off into the air. And then obviously it was recorded as a video, but right from there, just skydives out of the plane with the flag down into Hollywood, hands that flag off, and really sets up LA 2028. And there's Snoop Dogg on the beach, live concert, the whole deal. You think Snoop and Martha being in Paris, and Flavor Flav and other celebrities that were there, Tom Brady was in Paris, among so many others. LA is going to be spectacular when it comes to the Hollywood aspect and the star power of those Olympics. It's going to be something. Like, it just is going to be pretty fantastic. So looking forward to that for sure. Look, the weekend was spent in Detroit, and we're asking you what your favorite live concert is, and there's so many of those coming in here as well. Garth Brooks in Saskatoon. Monty in Saskatoon was at Garth Brooks. He did 6 shows in Saskatoon. I think he sold them all out. Terry writes in and says, The Doors and Cream, 68 in Vancouver. That's taking it back. I'm sure, I don't know if Dad's watching today, but that's we're talking about his era in the 60s and 70s. And you want to talk about lists of concerts you've been to, just check out my dad's list of concerts. He probably still has all the ticket stubs somewhere. And if you got an hour, he'll tell you about every single concert he's been to. He will. Red Hot Chili Peppers in Calgary. That show was rocking. That's from Bomber Boy. Terry followed up by saying, I'm old. No, you're not. You're not old. 2011 was Nickelback at the Grey Cup. Thank you for that. Writing in on that one. What else do we got on the concert beat? I know there was lots that came in here. Okay, we'll take a break from this for a second, and we'll move on to the text line. 902-518-3033. We sidestepped this one, and probably for good reason if Daniella's still watching. Whoops. Brian Eitenmeyer is watching and says, great job, Daniella, at the Olympics. You were great. We miss you in Sask. Who you cheering for next weekend, Riders at Argos? You know, her partner in crime is a big Argos fan. He's the public address announcer for the Argos. She had a significant amount of her career in Saskatchewan, covering the Riders.
Spicy.
I don't know what she would have said, but we'll let her answer that. If you want to tweet at her, but no, she's going to take the 5th here. Kirk watching in Toronto as well says, hi, Moose. Kirk from Toronto. Van Halen, 1980. Maple Leaf Gardens. That would have been cool.
How about that?
For sure. Steve writes in from Edmonton, says, love the show, music and sports, and a Western Canadian bunch. Great folk. Awesome. Thank you for that, Steve. And Bill Dalby in Brantford says, Darren, did you get recognized at Ford Field? You're a TV star now. I did not get recognized in Detroit. Keeping a low profile when I'm down there. And Bob writes in, best concert, April Wine at the old Saskatoon Arena. He writes in from Saskatoon. And last one from Darren and Melfort, AC/DC in Edmonton in the pouring rain. Thunderstruck was amazing in the rain. It sounds like it was a music video. What it sounds like. That's pretty cool. Look, we're going to step aside here early, and then we're going to do our best here in overtime. Well, not overtime. I guess this is viewer takeover. But our overtime segment of hour one here on the podcast, just to tee you up for the next hour, because we are going to put this aside. We'll still take in your comments on best live concert that you've been to, because it's been a lot of fun talking about it this morning and some of your favorite memories. And I'll tell you about one of my other favorites after the break when we come back. But we are going to shift into CFL. I got a question queued up here from John Burns. We're going to get to your question, John, coming up here shortly, probably either the next segment or into the top of hour two. We're going to talk about Trey Ford and the Elk. We're going to talk about the BC Lions, who have suddenly lost 3 in a row. Montreal setting a 20-year record. The Montreal Alouettes. What's up with Saskatchewan? We got Paul LaPolice joining us from the CFL on TSN and a whole lot more. So lock in your football questions, and we're going to shift gears as we head into the next hour. It's the Rod Pedersen Show across the Game Plus television network, streaming on YouTube Live. We're listening on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, and WQEE Radio.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Final segment here in hour one and here in the podcast. In the next podcast episode, next hour, for those of you watching live on Game Plus, we're going to get into the CFL hot and heavy. We only have a couple of minutes left here. But we'll tease you with some of the headlines coming up. The Edmonton Elks, with their win over BC 33-16. Trey Ford left that game and did not return, hoping he's okay. But McLeod Bethel-Thompson came in, did a pretty decent job. We'll talk about that game. Bo Levi Mitchell has been benched. He's only leading the league in passing and touchdowns and red zone efficiency, but the team isn't winning football games. So he got benched after 2 series in their loss to Montreal. Jeremiah Masoli's been named a starting quarterback for the Ottawa Redblacks with Drew Brown out. So we'll see how that is going to affect things. And great news, we've got Paul LaPolice coming in next hour, so we can ask the coach all these questions and get to the bottom of this. And Montreal, the Alouettes, are off to their best start in 20 years. But we'll leave you with this. Can we get a quick sample size of the poll question? You can vote now. The poll question is this. With Nathan O'Rourke being released by the Atlanta Falcons after going 3 of 13 for 37 yards in his only action after just a couple of days in camp, where should Nathan O'Rourke sign next? What should he do? Should he sign with BC, Toronto, and just forget about the Chad Kelly situation, Calgary, or should he keep chasing the NFL dream? Vote now. Do we got results on that yet? 48% say keep chasing the NFL, 26-ish% saying the BC Lions. That's where he came from. So he would be a free agent in the Canadian Football League, no doubt. So vote on that. I'm going to ask Paul LaPolice what he thinks Nathan O'Rourke should do if he was asked. Lots coming up. NFL notes will get pushed a little bit too, including more in the Jerry Jones, CeeDee Lamb saga, but all CFL on the other side of the break here on the Rod Pedersen Show. So back here after a short timeout. I think we got 15 seconds left. Also, last chance to, not last chance, but favorite concert. That's the other theme of the show today. Let me know what your favorite live concert is. And I'll tell you my second favorite after the break. First was last Saturday night. Okay? It's next.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped her. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged. How about that?
Welcome back to the show. Welcome to the podcast. And welcome to your Monday. And happy Monday. Darren DuPont in for Rod Pedersen. Lots of comments coming in as you guys have really showed up this morning on a great Monday after a wonderful weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. We put a wrap on the Olympics this weekend, and we talked about that in hour one and on the previous episode of the podcast. Big thanks to Daniella Ponticelli for joining us in that one. 902-518-3033 is the number to text the show. You can write us there. You can write us on the YouTube chat as well. Happy to take your questions. We spent the weekend in Detroit at a Kenny Chesney, Zach Brown Band concert. It was awesome. So this morning we've been asking you what you think is your favorite concert you've ever been to, favorite live concert. And there are so many great ones that are coming in. And I love all your thoughts. We've had AC/DC, Guns N' Roses have been written in, George Strait. There's so many. The Eagles. For me, that was it. The second best concert I ever went to was way, way back. It was Dierks Bentley concert. And Dierks Bentley, when I was a teenager and you know, in high school, that's when Dierks was at his peak, probably. I mean, he keeps getting better and better, but that's when he was at his peak, right? And we know all the songs. But he was opened by who opened? Doc Walker was second, was just before Dierks. And opening for him was a little known guy by the name of Eric Church. And it was awesome. And the pinnacle of the night was they brought everybody back out. So Dierks brought back Doc Walker, brought back Eric Church, and all their band members. There was about 8 guitars on stage, 2 sets of drums, whatever. And they sang Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. that might be one of my favorite moments at a concert that I've had. That was fun and really, really cool. So what was your favorite concert? What was your favorite concert you've ever been to? And the poll question, Nathan Rourke, what does he do next? Jeff writes in and says, does Rourke really offer BC that much more than Adams provide? His price tag will be hundreds of thousands, if not more, because he is Canadian. Nathan Rourke would come back in and likely be the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League. I might not put up the numbers, but I think there would be an argument for that, for him being the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Look, he looked good at times in his brief appearance in the Falcons' loss this week. He looked not great at times, like a little flat pass that sailed over the head of the target. He only had a couple of days with the Atlanta playbook in that system to practice. It takes some time, but you don't have time in the National Football League. And if you don't play well right out of the gate consistently, you got to move on. And that's tough, really tough, because we know if you give Nathan Rourke 5-6 games, some time, he's going to be a really great asset for you. We believe in him. But this is a show me now or not business. And every single time, there is no time for down weeks when you're auditioning, especially with all the young players in the game that have so much more upside. We're talking about players like Caleb Williams, not that it's different. Nathan Rourke is not in the conversation of Caleb Williams, but Caleb Williams is 22 years old. The players keep getting younger, and they keep coming with lots of excitement and potential and hype. It's really tough for Nathan. So how would I answer the poll question? We struggled with the poll a little bit this morning in deciding where he should go. BC was the first choice because, well, he played there. Toronto was the second choice because, hey, both Toronto, the GTA, I think Oakville precisely, and Vancouver, and I actually think it's Victoria, they both lay claim to Nathan Rourke. So BC, Toronto for those reasons, but also with the Argos, 5-4, trying to get back in the mix. You look at the Chad Kelly situation, and we don't know what's going to happen with the review, the psychological review, and all of the rest. But also just saying, look, let's just avoid the controversy and let's throw some money at Nathan Rourke and let everybody forget about the Chad Kelly thing. That's why we put Toronto. Those were no-brainers, BC and Toronto. Then we struggled for a third because the fourth option was always going to be keep chasing the NFL. Okay? That has to be an option in the poll. So we thought, okay, Edmonton, what's their situation? Well, Trey Ford's just won 2 straight games since being named the starting quarterback. I don't think you're doing this to him again. And I think you're pretty happy with the level of play you're getting from the offense and this team under Trey Ford, even though he got hurt and didn't finish the football game. We thought of Calgary because they're kind of middling in the middle, in contention, but I think 4-5 is the record. Calgary, they ended up in our poll. Saskatchewan was an obvious choice because we get a lot of interaction, a lot of engagement. They struggled, right? One win in their last 5 games. And Trevor Harris, we don't know if he can stay healthy, and they need the quarterback of the future. And it might not be Shea Patterson. So that's Saskatchewan. Winnipeg, you probably put Winnipeg in there. How much does Zach Collaros have left? Well, he's not close to being done yet. Hamilton just benched Bo Levi Mitchell. Ottawa has a young Drew Brown who's played really well, but he's hurt. Every team could use him. Except Montreal. And they're not really excelling because of superb quarterback play. But Cody Fajardo's doing everything he needs to do to win football games, even though he's not playing. And you got the young Alexander kid in there playing quarterback. They're winning because they're a great football team, including the quarterback. So it's interesting to see where Nathan Rourke would go. So we chose Calgary to put in the poll. But you can write in with whatever you think, wherever you think he might want to go. Maybe you think he should go to the UFL, right? And play in the USA. I'm not really sure. Glenn writes in Medicine Hat. Trey Ford injured his shoulder back in 2022 against Calgary. I wonder if he banged at the same shoulder yesterday against BC. Yeah, I'm not sure. Wondered if he got his head hit a little bit, but then it looked like his shoulder. He looked okay coming out. We don't know how much time he's going to miss. And that creates question marks around the Edmonton Elks. McLeod Bethel-Thompson came into the football game and did a pretty nice job, didn't he? When we look at Edmonton and their win 33-16 over BC, let's sit on that for a minute. Trey Ford left and didn't return. He was 6 for 6 for 96 yards in the football game. And then Macbeth came in and finished it off and was a complete pro. He really was. I think I saw Farhan use that term, that he was a complete pro coming in off the bench. 14 of 28, 171 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But for Edmonton, Trey Ford is a big story. But has Javon Leak not become the story of the league in these last 2 weeks? Goes 21 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown this week, and that was slow compared to last week. He was pretty good. They're talking about his top-end speed and where it fits in the National Football League and how it's faster than anybody in the NFL. He might not be around the Canadian Football League for very long. We talk about Nathan Rourke going to the National Football League. We need to start the conversation about Javon Leak going to the NFL. I don't know how fast that's going to happen, how much interest there's going to be. And obviously, we need more than 2 weeks of a sample size of Javon Leak before we even really get serious about talking about it. But it's something to think about. When players excel and they're young and they play well and they put up stats and measurables like speed that we can measure, top-end speed, that translates. Yards, touchdowns don't necessarily translate to NFL scouting and general managers, but measurables do. How big you are, how fast you are, your break on the ball, your cutting ability, those types of things. Javon Leak has the tools. He had his 4 receptions for 37 yards, too. Jake Dolagala for BC looked really good on that opening drive. Ended the night 14 of 23 for 146 yards. Chase Bryce came in, finished with 41 yards passing. It was BC's 3rd straight loss. And there are issues around the Lions right now that aren't quarterback play related. The rest of the team isn't playing as good as they need to. And that's something that will need to be cleaned up. But clearly, this is a better football team when Vernon Adams Jr. is playing at quarterback for BC. It just is. Look, we're going to talk to Paul LaPolice in the next segment, and we're going to put these questions to him. Jeremiah Masoli has been named the starting quarterback for the Ottawa Red Blacks. Drew Brown is injured. Now, they're saying it's not considered to be season-ending, the Drew Brown injury, but Dustin Crum took over on Thursday, threw for 211 yards, an interception, added 72 yards running the football, which was nice. Dustin Crum does add that dual threat. But here's the skinny on Jeremiah Masoli, 35 years old now. When he's playing and playing well, he is elite. And I would put him in the conversation of the best quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League. Problem is, we haven't seen that in some time. He's started just 5 games since joining Ottawa back in 2022, and he's coming off that Achilles injury. Then he had the infection in it and wasn't able to finish the year last year, because of the Achilles injury. So Jeremiah Masoli, what should the expectations of Jeremiah Masoli be? That's a question I want to ask Paul LaPolice in the next segment. The Montreal Alouettes at 33-23 win over Hamilton. A couple of storylines coming out of this one. First, this is Montreal's best start in 20 years at 8-1. It's the best start since 2004 when they went 12-1 to start the season. Could Montreal go 12-1 to start the year this year? There's no signs of them slowing down. And at this point, I don't really know who they play that would make me choose somebody else over Montreal. So I think the Alouettes are going to keep rolling, and we'll see if they can continue to break some franchise records. We're talking about a franchise that's been coached by Don Matthews, been coached by Mark Trestman, that's had Anthony Calvillo and Ben Cahoon and Jamel Richardson and some of these greats, Mike Pringle, Tracy Ham, you keep going back. This, Jason Moss, Cody Fajardo, now Davis Alexander. This may be the best Montreal Alouettes team ever. Are we having those conversations? They're setting the records. The numbers tell us that they're doing some special things. I don't know that we're comparing them to Anthony Calvillo's Alouettes yet, but maybe we need to. That's a question I want to ask Paul LaPolice. But also in that game, Bo Levi Mitchell, after 2 series, was benched. The 34-year-old was benched. Now, he finished the game 3 of 4 passing for 25 yards, but he had an interception. And right after the game, Scott Milanovic announced that second-year quarterback Taylor Powell, who threw for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns in relief, would be the starter next week against Edmonton. And I go to Farhan Lalji on social media on Twitter, who tweeted last night, or actually it was in the afternoon yesterday. He said, struggling with this one. Bo leads the CFL in passing yards, touchdowns, and red zone efficiency. Following 2 straight wins, he had 1 poor performance versus arguably the league's best D on a short week, plus the first quarter on Friday. For me, his resurgence has been one of the best stories of the season. It's been a great story. It's also been a head scratcher. These numbers he's putting up are great. 5 passing touchdowns in 1 game, leading the league in passing, in touchdown passes, red zone efficiency, as Farhan mentioned, but yet not getting the wins. How do you explain this? Putting up the numbers and not getting the wins. It's not all on the quarterback, but you need to do something, right? You need to do something. Lots of questions you guys have, and I want to, answer some of these questions. John Burns wrote in a little while ago, and I know we're going to take a break and bring in Lapo here right away. But John Burns writes in, and he's been waiting for this one. CFL question. Do the 2 mistakes, Toronto, Calgary, Hamilton, Montreal, with fumbles on the weekend, highlight the need for command center reviews? No immediate recovery equals no fumble? ? I don't know. Look, it's 1 week, and I know some people will say the command center's had issues for a while. Review has been, it's not a perfect science yet, but I think it's better than it was. If you want to look at the game and miss calls and getting things right, it's better than it was a decade ago. It continues to improve. It's not a straight line of improvement, right? And I guess I should probably go this way for you guys on the screen. It's not a straight line, right? It is up and down and up and down and up and down, right? On your way. It is imperfect, but technology will keep getting better. We will keep improving. And I think the command center will start, getting more of these calls right. But when it's so close and it's such an opinion, judgmental thing, did he hit him below the knees? Was it roughing the passer? Did he hit him hard enough? Was it intentional? And we all have an opinion on what we think and how we think the rules should be interpreted. It creates for wonderful discussion. It creates for great content for shows like this. It creates incredible difficulty for those who have to make the call and the decision. Taylor writes in, Moose, do you think Bo's days in Hamilton are over? I don't know, because I thought he was having one of his best years, and this team was just finding ways not to win football games. And I thought, you know what? If he keeps playing like this, they're going to win more games. And then we're not going to have any questions. That's what I thought. But I just don't know, right? I just don't know. We'll ask Paul LaPolice what he thinks about Bo Levi's future in Hamilton. More of your questions. Get them loaded in now. CFL questions. Lock them in. Maybe you've got some thoughts on Nathan Rourke, too. We're going to find out about that. Darren writes in and says, Rourke to the Riders. Harris is up there in age. Injuries are an issue. 902-518-3033 is the number to text the program, and you can write it on YouTube as well. Paul LaPolice from the CFL and TSN is next. We'll ask him the football questions and recap the weekend in the Canadian Football League. You're watching the RP Show here on a Monday across the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, streaming on YouTube, or on the podcast on Apple and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastih.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Text lines open at 902-518-3033. Darren DuPont is with you here today. Trent in Norway writes in on YouTube, though. He says, Norway here. My first big concert I attended was Kenny Rogers at the SaskTel Center when it was only 8,000 seats. I've been to many shows over the years, but that was the first one. If you're just joining us, I was at Kenny Chesney, Zach Brown Band, Megan Maroney, and Uncle Cracker in Detroit over the weekend.
That?
And maybe my best live concert that I've ever been to. It was awesome. And so we're asking you, what's your favorite concert you've ever been to all time, or your, a concert memory that you might have? We welcome in Paul LaPolice from the CFL on TSN. Big concert guy, Paul? And do you have a favorite?
No, I would say I'm not a big I've probably been to under 10 concerts. My best was probably U2. Saw them in Winnipeg in 2010. As a younger kid, Peter Gabriel had an awesome concert. So yeah, pretty interesting.
You're a quality over quantity guy. That's pretty good.
Exactly.
U2 is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Look,
yeah, lucked out going there.
Yeah. Look, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, let's look at, I guess, what jumps out to you? Because I got a lot of things I want to get to, from Jeremiah Masoli to Bo to, Trey. But coming out of Week 10 in the Canadian Football League, and, that game last night, Edmonton beating BC, what jumps out at you as your big takeaway?
Well, I think the weird thing was the Ottawa Rider game. There are a lot of Rider fans here. I think the interesting thing about the command center, the command center got it right what they did. I don't think the logistics was really good. They can't allow the team to finish the game. They got to communicate to the official, hey, we're looking at this again. We got to keep playing. Drew Brown's out of this game because of low hit. So Drew Brown and Masoli will start because of low hit that Drew Brown got taken by, I believe it was Brown. Well, Jeremiah Masoli was taken out a couple of years ago by a low hit. So the league is trying to make sure they do their best to try to eliminate those blocks, irregardless of whether you get pushed into them. Because what happened years ago, people used to speed rush and they'd dip underneath the tackle and then they go low. They get pushed low. And that's kind of left our game, fortunately, because of these penalties. But the league had to say, irregardless of whether you're getting pushed down on that guy, it's going to be a foul. So I thought that was, I hadn't seen that, obviously, where they call the game, but then command center takes over. That was different. I just love what Toronto does. Toronto plays great defense. Janarian Grant's got his 4th touchdown this season. They don't turn the ball over, play great defense, special teams, and they find ways to beat people. And certainly BC, Edmonton. Edmonton, I think, is getting a little bit more veteran players on defense, and they're just starting to play a little bit better. And BC's 3 straight losses. They're struggling at the quarterback position a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how long that struggle happens.
Is this a case of we need to enjoy Javon Leake while we still have him? Because he's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting, like his ability, he's got obviously great speed. His lateral movement's really good. And they're doing a better job running the football. I don't think you would have said this is a really good, one of the top offensive lines in the league, but they've done a good job of doing a couple of simple concepts for Javon and letting him run with it. And he's been pretty impressive. I think it's a good thing for the West, though. If you think about the CFL West, there is nobody who's really running away with it. Like previous years would be Calgary, the last couple of years have been Winnipeg. So I don't know who's going to come out and win the 1, 2, or 3 in the West. So SAS certainly getting Trevor Harris back, we think. But anybody can keep going. You got some talented quarterbacks in the West. We'll see how long it takes for Vernon Adams to get back, but it should be fun down the stretch.
Well, it should be, and you can't rule out Edmonton if they probably need another couple of wins to start, getting into that conversation and taking them seriously. But they reeling off 2 in a row. They're within striking distance. And BC's fallen back, dropping 3 in a row, but they'll get VA back, and I think they'll be okay. In the East, it's interesting too, and I want to start with your old team in Ottawa, and Drew Brown's out. We hope not for very long. But Jeremiah Masoli is going to play. We haven't seen a lot of him over the last couple of seasons, or really in Ottawa. What should the expectations be for Jeremiah coming in and starting?
Yeah, I wish I saw a lot more Jeremiah Masoli when I was a head coach too, losing him after a couple of games. I'll say this, like his awareness of coverage is outstanding. And what I mean by that, he immediately knows when the ball snapped, what coverage is, where the weakness is of coverage. I don't know if I've seen a quarterback in the Canadian Football League that can get the ball without the laces and can just fire how quickly and accurately he can just fire the ball. Like some guys are like shortstops, open their hips and throw, and he was amazing at that. Whether it be the screen passes, the behind the line scrimmage throws. But the biggest thing, a lot of teams play zone to the wide side of the field. So there's a space out there. And you don't turn that on for everybody because sometimes guys can't throw it out there. They can't recognize it. If they're late, it's a pick six. Like when I got with him, I saw him recognizing that space and how accurate he could throw. So I just kept turning on things like, hey, I'm going to give you a quick throw over there. And if you want to take, and this is when the field was wider. I was amazed at how accurate he was throwing to the wide side of the field. So you're going to have a veteran guy who sees all the pictures. The ball should come out of his hand quickly. And they got Brock Armstead, so they don't have to rely on Jeremiah. The run game's going pretty well for them. So they just got to continue. They're playing pretty good defense. Don't turn the ball over. Jeremiah, to go to Jeremiah, what Ottawa has when I was the head coach or what Coach Dice had last year with Dustin Crum, you're getting just a more veteran guy who can keep you on the football field.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. We'll definitely be paying attention. To Hamilton, and Bo Levi gets shut down after just 2 series. This one is puzzling for me. Not that he got benched. You're not winning football games. But the numbers that he's putting up and the year that he's having, leading the league in passing and touchdowns and how great they've been in his red zone efficiency numbers. What do you make of this? And what does Bo's future look like in Hamilton?
So, I haven't talked to anybody there, but what I would say is, the numbers are the numbers. Yes, you can have yards at the end of a game, you can have other things, but sometimes for a quarterback, I used to say this in the quarterback meeting with the guys all the time. Listen, you had 65 plays in a game. You can do 64 of them correctly, and we'll call it 63. You take 2 bad plays, we lose the game. So it's crucial that you guys make good decisions on all 65 plays. And the quarterback position, you can't throw interceptions. I know he's got some interceptions. He's forced some throws. And that was something that Bo is going to take shot. He talked about it a couple of weeks ago. He's doing a much better job of not putting the ball in harm's way because he may not have the defense he had in Calgary or the special teams. Like, he's got to make sure he does his part of 3-phase football of, doing his part, not turning the ball over, giving a short field defense. And he's done that at times this year, trying to get better at it. And I think Scott's like, well, if he's not going to create with his legs, if he's going to put the ball in bad situations, maybe I have to look at the other guys because Taylor Powell can create with his legs at least, and you can do some run game with him. And, hopefully he doesn't turn the ball over. So that's kind of what I think that's probably what Scott's fighting with, the productivity of Bo. And, I don't know how long it'll be. We'll see. But it's good to, once again, have somebody like Bo Levi Mitchell there in case Taylor Powell does struggle.
Yeah, and he seems to be taking it in stride. He was having a little fun. We saw on social media his girl's got a lemonade stand. You see that?
Yeah,
set up, and he said, I lost my job, so the girls feel bad. They're trying to bring in a little extra money. You didn't lose the paycheck, though. That's a good thing.
Right.
But to Montreal, and this is the last thing I want to ask you is about the Montreal Alouettes. 8-1 now, best start in 20 years. 04 when they went 12-1. They're doing some really special things now without Cody Fajardo, but he should be getting close to coming back. At what point do we start comparing this Montreal Alouettes team and what they're doing to the Anthony Calvillo Montreal Alouettes? I don't want to do that yet. It doesn't feel like this team should be in that stratosphere, but they're putting up wins and they're playing really well going back to last season.
I would say this defensively, it's kind of interesting. Like defensively last year, that's how they made their, halfway through the season, they were an average middle of the road team. And then they went on that huge run down the stretch last year and then led to the Grey Cup. But that was done on defense and special teams and average offense, not turning the ball over. What they're doing now, even with Davis Alexander, is they're moving the ball very well. It's not especially when Cody was in, it was the offense was putting up as many points and doing as many great things, plus great defense. So that's pretty formidable. And with the injuries, they've been able to win with Davis Alexander. And he is not somebody who they just kind of threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, ran the ball. They pushed the ball downfield, and he's done a good job. So they're doing a really good job over there. They've got depth. I think their defense flies around. It's hard to get point. They don't give up a lot of points. So They blitz from different pictures. They are fun to watch, and again, they're kind of getting a loud crowd now in Montreal because they're winning so many games, and you can tell it's like Montreal and then kind of the rest of the league trying to figure out where they are, and certainly with the East, if Ottawa keeps winning, they could kind of start competing with them for that first spot, but pretty much Montreal is kind of starting to walk away with that. I know they lost Philpott. We'll see how Philpott is, but they've got a talented football team.
Yeah, they're fun to watch for sure. Look, before we let you go, tell me about your shirt. Our producer Clark pointed out, he's like, you got to ask Paul about the shirt. That's the Set Hut,
that
right?
Is Bob Wiley. Yes, that was years ago. If you remember when on the Cleveland Browns, Coach Wiley was... Everyone made, because every time he said Set Hut, like his whole belly would have jiggled and everybody kind of did it. So they sold t-shirts and I got myself a Bob Wiley Set Hut t-shirt. So yeah, it's excellent. So, hey, here's my Rod Pedersen show question. So it's kind of interesting that you guys are on the Games channel up here in Canada, right? So you guys are live streaming or streaming at the same time. Like in my head, I don't think Rod Pedersen has ever even played a video game in his life. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
Be like, what is this channel I'm on? Like, what is an Atari 2600? He probably doesn't even know anything about anything with
How
video
about
games,
that?
but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I know worlds colliding, but somehow it works. It works for us. So it works out for him. But Paul, appreciate this. Enjoy the week, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in Calgary this week. I'm doing my second color of the year, Calgary, Ottawa, and then be in studio the rest of the weekend. So, yep, looking forward.
You're in Calgary, and I'm coming to Ottawa this week. Hey,
the bosses tell me, hey, if the bosses tell me go on the air, I'm good. If I get to talk football for 3 hours on air, I'm going, man. A lot of fun.
Exactly. Have fun. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Darren. Take care.
Paul LaPolice joining us here, CFL on TSN. Look, I'm going to Ottawa this weekend, and it's not for football. I got tabbed and got the call. I'm going to do some tennis play-by-play on the weekend. Sunday, I'll be in Ottawa for the nation's capital tennis championships. So how about that? I'm going to call the men's and women's final. My first time doing tennis play-by-play, but really looking forward to it. Should be lots of fun this weekend in Ottawa. And it's actually going to be my first visit to Ottawa. I've never stepped foot in the nation's capital. So it should be lots of fun. But I won't be hooking up with Paul LaPolice. He'll be in Calgary on the air, and love what he's been doing on the CFL on TSN. We'll recap a little bit about what Lapo had to say, a little bit more on Nathan Rourke, and more. This day's going by quickly, as they always do. The RP show continues here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, YouTube, Apple, Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name's Logan Stacko. And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Darren DuPont. We can just slow down and just chill. 20 minutes left in the show to get to your questions, comments, thoughts. Recap the week that was in the Canadian Football League. Back on Thursday, the Ottawa Red Blacks and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A 22-22 tie.
How about that?
That sucks.
Oh, no.
Friday, I was actually at the Jays game Friday night, and I love to see it. I didn't get to watch all of the game, watch the highlights, but with the Jays game with Leanne and the in-laws, the Argos beating the Calgary Stampeders 39-25, a big fourth quarter again from Toronto this time. Last week, it was a big fourth quarter for Calgary. This time the Argos. And I was riding the train back, the GO train, and it was loaded with Argos fans and some Stamps fans. So that was great to see after the game. Montreal beat Hamilton 33-23, and Edmonton beat Vancouver, the BC Lions. They're not Vancouver, they're the BC Lions. 33-16 last night. Watched that one after getting home from Detroit. Great game. And nice job by McLeod Bethel Thompson stepping in for an injured Trey Ford and getting that win, finishing out the win. Text line is open. Want to just go to Bill here in Toronto. Says, hey, Moose, best concert for me was the Beach Boys and Chicago. They did 2 hours each and a 2-hour encore together at the old CNE Grandstand. A 6-hour show? Wow. Unreal. Darren writes in from Melfort, says, Rourke to the Riders. Harris is up there in age and injuries are an issue. This is more of a wish list than a reality, probably. He's stuck in limbo. Too good for the CFL, not good enough for the NFL. I don't know if he's not good enough for the NFL. I don't think that's the case. But what it needs to be is a sure thing for the NFL. You know, this is a win now business. This is a big money business. This is not a situation of we can wait. Okay. And, you know, if you're going to wait and invest time into a quarterback, it needs to be a first-round pick from a big school with a lot of potential. Caleb Williams. He's going to start in week 1. They're not really going to be patient with him, but you would be. He's 22. You could invest some time into Caleb Williams. They invested some time into Justin Fields because of that potential and what they invested in him. There's no investment made in Nathan Rourke. It's a $900,000 deal, not guaranteed. There's no potential of a massive win here. There's no risk. So we're going to bring a guy in. If he does well, we'll keep him. If he keeps doing well, we'll keep him. If he doesn't do well, we'll go to somebody else. And that's what they're allowed to do. It's like getting dealt cards. Pass, 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 pass until you get the card you want, right? But if you put chips in the middle, you're invested. So sometimes you'll play the hand you have, even if it's not as good as what you might be able to get from the deck, right? There's been nothing invested in Nathan, so they're quicker to move off of him. It's unfortunate, but when he gets into his opportunity, he'll have a chance to play. Look, I'm going to write this down so that we don't forget. Okay, I've got a list of topics for the week. It's our poll question today. Where should Nathan Rourke end up? Where will he sign? What should he do? And the answers are this. And I want you to pull the results up, Clark. Should he go to BC, Toronto, Calgary, or keep chasing the National Football League dream? What do you got for results? Hopefully we have some results coming up. It was showing on YouTube that NFL was leading the way. Let me see if I can pull it. Yep. He said he had NFL or other on YouTube. So 48% NFL or other. And I think that's where I would vote too. Not I think. That's exactly where I would vote. But here's what we'll do as this week rolls on. Okay. So stick with me here. We are going to talk a lot of hockey throughout the week. Okay. We didn't really talk about the Hlinka Gretzky at all today. Canada winning gold. Great effort. Gavin McKenna doing his thing. I want to talk more about the Hlinka Gretzky tomorrow. I want to talk about Olympic qualifiers, and Nikolai Ehlers is going to play for Denmark this month. That's going to be fun. We're going to talk hockey. We're going to talk about the Oilers and where things are at with the Leon Draisaitl extension for Oiler fans. But in the National Football League, we're going to recap the weekend. We didn't do that today. It was more Olympics, more CFL. Tomorrow, we're going to really get into the National Football League. I want to talk about the rookies, the quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. We'll recap their efforts. Tomorrow is also episode 2 of Hard Knocks on HBO. Episode 1, I believe now is on DAZN. It takes a couple of days for it to get onto DAZN if you don't subscribe to HBO. But if you do, tomorrow night, Tuesday, is episode 2 of Hard Knocks. We're going to watch that tomorrow night. So make sure you watch episode 1. And we're going to come back here on Wednesday and talk about episode 2 of Hard Knocks. So that's coming up. But I want to talk about 2 other things as we move through. I'm going to do a little more homework, and I'm going to tell you where I think Nathan Rourke should go. And I'm going to give you 2 or 3 options on the best possible landing spots for Nathan Rourke. And I'm going to rank them, okay? And I don't want to say for certain, but I think Vegas would be a great landing spot for Nathan Rourke. Right now, without looking into it too much deeper, I'm going to do a little digging. I think Vegas would be a great landing spot for Nathan Rourke where he might have an opportunity. And that's what it is. It's opportunity, it's situation, it's circumstance. Okay? Also going to talk about what Rod and I were talking about last week, and we never actually got to. On average, 6 teams in the National Football League are new in the playoffs every year. 6 new teams are in the playoffs. I'm going to tell you who I think will be the 6 new teams this year and what 6 teams are going to fall out of the playoffs. We're going to talk about that coming up later on in the week. So lots to get to as we roll through the week, including lots of your questions and your comments. John Ohm says, keep chasing Nathan Rourke, the NFL dream. And you know what? Isn't that a breath of fresh air? The path may lead to the CFL. And if it leads to the CFL for Nathan Rourke today, great if he wants it. If it leads to the CFL in another 2 years after doing the same song and dance this year, next year, and even the year after that, And it leads back to the CFL. There will be a faction of fans that will say, you wasted time. You should have been here earning money, playing games, adding stats, building a legacy, and just accepted that this was going to be your fate all along. But when you do that and you don't explore the dream, you're always going to wonder what if. And there is nothing worse than being at the end of the road and wondering what if. So if it takes Nathan time to explore the dream, it's the right decision. If he wants to keep chasing it, it's the right decision. Until in his heart, Nathan Rourke knows that it's not happening or has accepted that it's not happening and that the CFL is where he needs to be, that's when he should come back. When he knows the NFL's done. And only he will know when that's the case. When the flame is out. Only Nathan will know. And it's up to Nathan to make that decision. And others agree. Jay writes in and says, chase the dream, Nate. Your body and bank account will thank you. And at the end of the day, the money doesn't matter. The money doesn't matter. It's about chasing your dream and being satisfied that you took the shot and either got there or didn't get there. If you don't get there, he'll be able to accept it. But he's got to take the shot until he feels he's taken the shot. You don't want to leave anything on the table. So that's what I think about Nathan Rourke. And I love that the poll results are skewing that way too. And that you guys are feeling the same way. I really am. 902-518-3033. Last chance to get your questions in today because we got one more segment left. Bill writes in from Dauphin, Manitoba. Says, good day. Thank God it's Monday. For the poll question, I hope Rourke finds a home in the NFL. For your question, my favorite concert would be my first Foo Fighters show. Hell of a show with the band Sloan as the opening act. Funny thing, those Saskatchewan fans got to watch Sloan at the Saskatoon X this past week. But that. So from opening for the Foo Fighters to now headlining the X, pretty stuff there. Brian Eitennider wanted me to ask Paul LaPolice if the league doesn't want low hits like that in the QB, then what does he think about taking away the cut block, taking that out in rushing plays, in rushing players? I think Paul did a great job of talking about that play, and it's unfortunate. I think we look at the command center on that play, and we look at revamping the way we look at things. If this is something that comes up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this year, one unfortunate play isn't a problem. Unfortunately, one play that doesn't kind of feel right is not a problem. It needs to be stacked up. It needs to be more of a trend rather than just a one-off. And Bill Dalby writes in, Clark, do you got the graphic ready? He says, who won last week? You and Rod for the picks, CFL winners. Bill from Brantford. If you got it, or we can wait till the next segment. But he's going to pull it up. We got the standings. Drum roll. This probably sounds annoying and not like a drum roll. Somebody said in the comments that I need the cowbell, and I don't have one. But when you got it, slam it up. Or we'll do it in the next segment after the break. Waiting for it. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, that works. That works. They're going to zoom it out, and you'll see that. Rod's on top, and I'm on the bottom. There you go. That's good. But I won the week, 3-0-1. Rod did say on Friday that we were each getting the win for that tie, but I decided to put it as a tie because that's what it was. So Rod was 2-1-1. I was 3-0-1. We were both wrong on the early game, but we both had Montreal to win. I had Edmonton. He had BC. So I am now one game back of 500, and I'm cruising. So we get into Labor Day. Look out. I am going to be like a ball rolling downhill, and I'm going to chase him down. So we'll see what happens this week. We'll get Rod's picks in. The picks come on Thursday, okay? One final segment and get your questions in. We will unload on YouTube and on the text line, 902-518-3033, and we'll put a wrap on this. Last chance, if you got any comments on the Olympics, too. It is the Rod Pedersen Show here on a Monday, here on YouTube Live, WQEE, streaming on YouTube or on the podcast, Apple and Spotify.
The WCBL continued to grow this summer. 12 teams, 2 provinces, pacing towards 400,000 fans, an all-time high in 2024. The WCBL had a record number of players drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball draft. 2024 playoffs start August 7th.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome to Overtime. Here, a final segment on your Monday. And we got news in the Canadian Football League out of Saskatchewan Roughriders practice. Quarterback Trevor Harris is taking first-team reps at Rider practice. So they're hoping he's back and ready to go for this week. They're hoping Jameer Thurman will come back as well. And it looks like A.J. Ouellette appears to be a full participant in practice as well. That's from the voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, on Twitter with that report. So good stuff there. Wanted to make this note in the last couple of minutes. We can't put a wrap on the Olympics without talking about Scott Russell. 17 Olympic Games, and this Olympics and the upcoming Paralympics will be his last. He didn't sign off for a final time on Sunday because he will be on the air, I believe, for the Paralympic Games that will start here shortly. But what a run it has been. And when you think of the Olympics, we think of Brian Williams, we think of Mark Lee, but we think of Scott Russell. He is so synonymous with the Olympics, with Canada, with the CBC. And he's such a wonderful, welcoming face and voice. As a broadcaster, you could only dream of having a legacy like Scott Russell has had. Somebody who makes people feel good when they see you on the air or when they hear your voice, that reminds them of something special, of a big moment. So Scott Russell, bravo, wonderful stuff. I've never met Scott Russell in person. He's been on this show, though, Clark. It was a while ago, but Scott's been on this show, and he's just been a wonderful ambassador for Canadian sports. So congratulations. He looks far too young to retire. far, far too young. But you know what? He's earned it. And you can do what you want. And maybe he comes back. Maybe he does an assignment here and there, a lesser workload. But great job by Scott Russell. And the entire CBC Olympics crew. Mark Lee maybe had his best Olympics ever. His call on that 4x100 meter relay for Canada was one of the best ever. Mark was great, and he worked a lot. We heard him every single day during the games. Unbelievable stuff from Mark Lee. And a breath of fresh air. I mean, Devin Haru was great. As always, we know Devin's just unbelievable reporting on Canada from the track, from the pool. Anastasia Busis did a phenomenal job hosting, too. So, and she's kind of just gotten onto the scene and doing great things. I don't know what else to say. It was just awesome. And it's kind of sad the Olympics are over, but that's what it's all about. So hope you enjoyed them. Tomorrow on the program. Who's on the show tomorrow, Clark? I haven't even looked ahead to tomorrow. Ryan Ray, Dallas Stars broadcaster, and TBD. But we're going to talk more hockey tomorrow, obviously, and we're going to talk about the NFL tomorrow in a big, big way. Thanks to Paul LaPolice. Thanks to Daniella Ponticelli. And thanks to you for watching and helping us get through day one. See you tomorrow here on The Rod Pedersen Show.
Who has more fun than us?
How about that?